And we should be. We're live.
All right, we're back. Pavan is already here in the chat, so that's good. Thank you for sticking with us through some technical difficulties. It is not Jover. We are going to try to pick up where we left off here. I think the last play that you showed was the AG one-on-one. Yeah, the main point that I just wanted to make there was that AG took the shot, and then right, so you could play the one where CB makes the pass back to Cam.
Right. Let me grab that.
But yeah, the point on the AG one-on-one was just like, it wasn't just on like they're ignoring Christian. It's like, well, if they're ignoring Christian, you have to get him the ball and he's got to shoot, right? If he never gets the ball, you can't like blame him for not shooting. You could blame him for like being a player that the defense ignores, I guess. Or at least like not blame him, but be like, well, maybe somebody else should be in that spot. But I think that AG also has to get him the ball in that position. All right, so on this play here, right, we're like, I was fangirling out when the scream died over the way that the Heat are playing this zone defense. Like, it's just so active. You can just roll the whole thing well. Where I'm like, what are they doing? I don't know. And neither do we, which is why that's why sometimes the most effective thing you can do is just drive the zone and like force it to collapse. And then it just makes everything else easier because then everybody's playing with an advantage. And then in an ideal world, Cam Johnson can hit a wide open three, but right now he can't. But I actually liked Christian's general process on this possession, even though it was a little bit haphazard. Like I was trying to say earlier, like he could have, earlier in that possession, like when Norm comes in for help, just gotten the ball to Bruce in the corner. Bruce has been nails, by the way, from the corners. I think he's shooting like 50% on those shots right now. He's been really good. But yeah.
Well, we were highlighting these clips just to kind of talk about how concerned we are about CB in order to answer Red and White's mailbag question. So, how concerned are you about CB, Grace? Because I have the same question for you.
I mean, I've been hammering this ever since the offseason. Like Christian's defense is a lot more important to me than his offense is at this point. As long as he keeps doing things like knowing where to be on cuts, knowing, and finishing on those, making his free throws, like all that basic stuff. Like I need Christian to be a defensive stopper, and I'm way more concerned with that and like having that element in our starting or closing lineup. Because a lot of people can argue like, okay, in the Blazers game, for example, like Tim should have closed over Christian because like Blazers were ignoring Christian for spacing reasons. I thought Peyton should have closed over Christian in that game because he had actually been decent defensively and Christian had not been in that game. And I thought our issue down the stretch more than anything was the ability to just get stops. Mm-hmm. And so the question of like, what do you want out of that position, I think informs if you want somebody to close over him, like who that would be, because we don't have like a necessarily two-way, star there. Maybe Peyton or Bruce. You could say like Bruce, at least Bruce gives you like an extra ball handler, an extra slasher in, a closing lineup like that. So maybe you have that offensive piece, but then like he brings that like really like, the cagey, very active defense as well. But I do think that Peyton is a better defender than both Christian and Bruce right now. Vyacheslav says he had the same stint last year. He will be fine. It's just annoying he has bad games when preseason looks so great. I don't think Christian looked great in the preseason, honestly, especially defensively. Like offensively, sure, but like nobody's playing defense in the preseason. So Christian's going to thrive when nobody's playing offense because everything he does is so easy. So if teams aren't taking away the easy stuff, like he could give you 30 in a game and it'd be like a quiet 30 potentially, right? He had like, what did he have in this Heat game? Was it like 21 points off of like just the easiest stuff?
Yeah, dunks and cuts and
he only had 11. I think he had 20 in the Kings game.
Mm.
But defensively, I'm like, we need a stopper. Whether we're not talking about the starting line, we're talking about the closing line. We need a stopper. We need somebody that is going to make it difficult, or at least force the best player on the other side to take shots that they don't want to take, even if they're going to make them take shots that they don't want to take. And right now, Christian has not really demonstrated an ability to do that um, through 7 games. Um, yeah,
Right. All right. Well, I pulled some clips of CB, people helping off of him. I don't want to play it anymore. I feel like we went over that
yeah.
enough.
Let's talk about the defense.
Yeah, let's go to the defense.
I really want to talk about Jokic because he's really impressed me defensively over the last few games. He was pretty good in the Pelicans game, but the Blazers game was the one where I felt like, oh my gosh, like this guy is really just everywhere on both ends of the floor. And he was really efficient offensively in that game too, which is what made it even more impressive. But I'm going to talk about his rim protection in particular because we're gonna run some clips of blocks, but I just feel like Jokic is contesting a lot more shots at the rim. Once we have a few more games, sample size, I'd love to compare this season to seasons past, but it feels like he's not just like giving the open layups anymore. Let's see. Let's play the first one from the Blazers game. Let's play the Klingon. The block on Klingon, which I think, like, Donovan tries to go for a reverse, and Donovan's Klingon is not the most reliable finisher at the rim. Like, Jokic could have just kind of taken his chances with this one. Klingon gets the offensive rebound because he's really good at that, tries to create some space, and then Jokic is like, "No, I'm gonna make this as difficult as possible," and ends up getting a hand on the ball here, as Klingon goes for this reverse layup. Um, the one off the offensive rebound also, I forgot who tried to shoot this. But this was another one where it's like, well, we should have gotten this stop, but I missed the rebound because Robert Williams, he kind of jumped a little early. Jokic did. So they get the offensive rebound. Is that Tumani or Ryan Repair? Maybe. And Jokic's like, no, like we're going to get the stop on this possession, and I'm not just going to let you shoot a layup over me. And he gets that block over a smaller player. Like he should be
Yeah, it
able
was
to block
repair.
block those types of shots. And like he's not gonna block every player, especially the ones that play above the rim. Uh but for the ones that he's able to get to, I feel like he's been trying to at least contest, if not like try to block a lot of these. There was another one just to emphasize like uh the idea that Jokic and really that the whole team has, I think, much better than last season, which low bar defensively, but they've been taking a lot more pride on like protecting their paint on on the defensive side of the ball. So if you go to the foul on Tumani, um I forget if I think this was off of a cut, so they're trying to play some zone back cut. And then actually he was going for the block here. I wasn't even sure if this was a foul, but Jokic doesn't protest it. And Jokic protests a lot. So the fact that he didn't told me what I needed to know about this play. But yeah, he's like, no, like I'm gonna foul you. Yeah, I see here he does get him on the arm. And make sure that you don't get anything easy out of this play. So I love to see that. I love to see us taking some harder fouls, like, let's give up fewer and ones. I need a chart of, like, how many and ones each team is giving up, because I feel like the
I
Nuggets gave
know.
up, like, an obscene number last season with, like, the
Hmm.
softest, like, we're gonna pretend to play defense here, and it's just, like, a soft foul that results in an and one. It's, like, the
Yeah,
worst of both
you just
worlds.
did not need to do it, and then it just happens. Although we had the what game was that? Was it against the
The transition
Warriors
game. Oh,
this
I was
season?
thinking of
CB or who? Someone fouled Steph on a 3-point
oh
shot
my
or
god, that was
something.
Christian. We've
Yeah.
had a couple of fouls on three-point shots, and I know they're calling more now, like, post-shot contact type fouls too. So we're probably gonna see that more
Hmm.
this season, annoyingly.
Yeah.
And then another one of these plays where he breaks up a lob, like I talked about, I think 2 shows ago when we talked about the Wolves game. If you could bring up the where lob. I forget who throws this. I think it might have been Davion Mitchell who's handling on this possession.
Oh, yes.
I think the Heat go, okay, yeah, he just drives here and tries to. I think this was actually like a bit on Davion because he doesn't actually draw Jokic in help. He doesn't draw the help defender in. He just kind of gets in there, assumes that Jokic is going to step up. Like
Yeah,
Jokic
he
didn't
throws
have
it
to,
kind of early.
and he throws it early, but Jokic, still gets it and breaks it up. Like Ware could have caught that and dunked it
Hmm.
if Jokic doesn't get his hand up there. So that
Yeah,
was
I
just
mean,
another one. I think he's becoming a lot better at his timing. Like he's not gonna break up all of these, but to break up the ones that he can is huge for this team because like defense generally in the NBA is all about margins, right?
hmm and he's just always been a passing lane type player, an anticipatory defender where he can see what's going to happen. It may not mean that he can react in a way like an elite, defender might, who has speed and vertical leaping abilities to their disposal, but he can read a play. He knows that lob's probably going to come, and he's has good enough hands and reaction time to like disrupt things like that. And I do like that he's been doing that more lately. And I still think that's a valuable thing. Like even if you don't get blocks, that presence and that willingness to anticipate and read offensive plays is, I don't know. I don't know how you weigh that, like getting a steal like that versus getting a block, and how you value those things. But Jokic brings that to the table.
And then it just becomes like Jokic gets the stop, gets the rebound effectively, and then it becomes a fast break with, Jokic outletting.
Hmm.
Um, he wasn't credited with any blocks in the Heat game, but anecdotally, like, I just feel like I'm talking about all the ones that he's contesting, but I think the right way to think about it is, like, the number of shots that he's leaving uncontested is very low. Like, you could imagine, like, picture in your head the number of plays last season where, like, someone drives into the paint and they just get a free layup because Jokic, like, steps back or whatever, and I have a couple of, like, questions about, like, why he's like, it's not like it's not always, like, a shot contested. Sometimes he's like, "I'm just gonna, like, get into this guy and kind of force him to, like, walk out of the paint or, like, dribble out of the paint," with the ball here. I do think we need more data, like I said, but um, I think maybe part of the reason that he's willing to, like, mix it up a little bit more in the paint now is because he's a little bit less worried about what happens if he gets in foul trouble, which he hasn't really in the first 7 games either, by the way. But if he does, it's like, well, Jonas could come in and, like, generally fill that gap for, like, a few minutes with the rest of the starters. I'm not worried about that, you know?
Hmm.
Um Another element of rim protection is generally like some of the 2 from the Blazers game were off offensive rebounds, and they're a very good offensive rebounding team, I will say. But Jokic did generally his job on the glass in that game. He had 14 rebounds. Um, but he's currently sitting at a 28.5% defensive rebounding percentage. That means that when he's on the floor, he's grabbing almost 30% of available defensive rebounds. That's the second highest mark of his career, by the way, after hitting like a bit of a lull, a local minimum last season. It wasn't the worst that it's been in his career last season, but it was certainly like on the lower end of the spectrum, like substantially lower than, the couple of seasons prior and like his high watermark. Is that partly just because he has a worse rebounding cast this year? So there are more rebounds that the team still would have gotten before with like MPJ at small forward. That Jokic, like it's like, okay, it's on Jokic to make sure he's grabbing these now. Or do you think that like Jokic's improved rebounding means better rebounding for the team overall,
Yeah, I guess I'll go with a bit.
defensively in particular?
I'll go with a
Defensively.
little bit of a cop out and say it's hopefully both. because I do want to see like the aggressiveness from him to secure those on both ends.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought he
I
was
do.
so aggressive about it in the Blazers game in particular. Like, he was like, some of those you're thinking, like, is this going to count for like 3 different defensive rebounds because he has to tap it away from Klingon like 3 different times to get it out of his zone of reach and into like his other hand? Or a lot of them are like him tapping to another teammate, by the way, um,
Yeah, true.
to
I
keep
also
them away from the other team getting
I
it.
think there's some degree of the other cast getting a little bit weaker. Like AG's not rebounding as much.
I don't know if he could be worse than last year though, because he was like not on the floor.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Mike did that was something that he brought, and Cam gets rebounds in spurts, but I don't know that it's still early. I don't know how to fully
I
assess
don't
like his rebounding
expect.
game.
I don't. If Cam gets a double double this year, like it's gonna be a holiday. You
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
I'm
Tim
looking
Hardaway
right
Jr.
now
said
too.
after the game too that he thinks like they all could get better at rebounding and boxing out and things of that nature. So things to improve on. But Jokic, I mean, I've always like been very confident in Jokic's rebounding abilities.
It was not good last season though.
Right, which is
The
weird.
offensive rebounding was amazing. The defensive rebounding was not, and that was very much like the fact that there was such a disparity on both ends of the floor. Like, told me, like, where the team was last season, basically. Um, let's see. Yeah, we'll have to see how, like, we're gonna get to the stats that do stabilize at this point, but defensive rebounding is not one of them. Like, we need to get, like, 15 plus games in to know where the team is gonna, finish or probably kind of sit around in terms of where they rank in defensive rebounding, but I'm hoping it's a lot better than the 18th they were last season, which is pitiful for a team that is one of the biggest in the NBA. Let's see. Okay, so before we get to the stats, I'm gonna skip the stuff on the zone defense because I just think we need um more data on it, honestly. But I want to shout out a lot of like crazy defensive playmaking from Peyton because I think that in addition to doing what I've wanted him to do for like a year and a half now, which is just be more fundamentally solid, particularly when he's trying to contain the ball. He obviously brings this athletic pop on the defensive end, often, like with a running start. And it's not just the leaping ability, but the sheer wingspan. If you could go to the block on Drew, where Peyton just does what he does and sort of comes out of not out of nowhere because Drew like this is just a one-on-one blocks it inbounds, which by the way, Peyton has been blocking a lot more balls inbounds this season. Like it's not these
Mm.
like crazy come from nowhere uh hit the ball out of bounds and then the other team still gets the ball back kind of thing. Like he's been sparking a lot of fast breaks with the way that he's blocking the ball. And I want to give him a shout out for that
Mm.
because that means there's a little bit more control
Like
in
he's not
those
just going for the
plays.
highlight swat. He's like a little more
Yes.
like, I just need to get the ball back
Yeah.
somehow. There's a good point to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then here he shows off his abilities as a star safety on the Jeremy Grant turnover, where he's fronting Tumani here, and then Jeremy's like, "Okay, I'll get the ball to Reith in the corner," but then Payne's like, "Nope," and then falling out of bounds, like saves it, to Jokic there. So
Yeah.
still,
Good front there. Yeah.
still his gangly self.
Whoa.
Whoop.
Yeah. What a play to just like he's kind of lucky that
Yeah.
who's this offensive player? I don't even recognize him, but
Tumani, 33.
oh, that's Shimani. Yeah, like kind of lets him go behind,
Yeah.
and then he's able to get that. It was amazing.
Yeah. And then let's see. If you go to the Denny Avdia missed 3 here, this is a shot that like a better like a shooter could definitely make. But Peyton kind of is chasing him and then Denny loses him on the screen, but Peyton is like, I'm still in the pursuit. It kind of reminds me of uh like in football when they're trying to get pressure on the quarterback, where it's like we're just trying to like speed you up and like make our presence known. And when you're not like this is if this is Steph, like you expect this shot to go in, and you're like, why are you going under the screen? This, that, and the other. But like Peyton goes under because it's Denny Avdia, and not just because Denny Avdia um can't shoot necessarily, but because he thinks that he wants to drive, and that's a tendency of that player. But he still is like has enough presence of mind to be like, I still need to like leap out, contest, like make him feel like know like I'm right here, so you better like rush this shot, which I think Denny does, and then he misses it off the back iron there.
There aren't many players who can go under like that and still contest at all, like meaningfully.
Right. With like, again, like if this is a shooter, like if this is Tim Hardaway Jr., he's making that shot.
The ball's probably already gone. Maybe
right.
I don't. Yeah.
Right. But with Denny, it's like, okay, this is the scout. And I've really liked like again, only 7 games in. And the thing with Peyton is not these flashes. It's always been the consistency, but it's so nice to see the things that he's able to to do. Couple more defensive plays from him. Let's go to the block on Simone Fontecchio from the Heat game. So this is in transition. They get the ball back, and then Simone gets the offensive rebound, and Peyton's like, no, like I like this. I like not just like don't give up on the play. They're up 15 at this point. It's the end of the quarter. Like, let's try to finish strong. You can have like the opposite mindset of like, well, we're up 15, so like this one where they got the offensive rebound and are going to get the putback, it doesn't matter that much. But these swing moments in the games and not giving up on these plays matter so much. Because like I said, defense is about the margins.
Fontecchio did not realize Pwat was right there. Like, don't try that, man.
And like the thing is, Peyton doesn't jump that high here, but he's got the like 7'2" wingspan, and and he just has to jump high enough. Couple of offensive plays I've got for him here too. This dunk on a nice 45 cut, and I think this is on a Jokic drive here.
Yeah, let me grab that.
Oh yeah, so Jokic is posting up. They're completely ignoring Peyton, but this is interesting.